Here's an example of what can happen when a liberal Western culture fails to learn from history. Dutch Member of Parliament, Geert Wilders, produced a short film entitled Fitna in 2008. Fitna is an Arabic word with connotations of secession, upheaval, and chaos. It's often used to refer to internal divisions within Islam. Fitna has a secondary meaning in the Islamic eschatology not too dissimilar to the tribulation period of the Bible prophets. Fitna is sometimes translated as sedition, as in the Quran Surah 8:39, and fight with them, unbelievers, until there is no more sedition, fitna, and religion should be only for Allah. The film was labeled offensively anti-Islamic by Secretary General Ban Ki-moon after its initial screening. Prosecutors had initially declined to charge Wilders, citing freedom of speech, when it dismissed dozens of complaints over the film and a variety of public utterances. But an appeals court last January ordered prosecutors to put the MP on trial, saying politicians should not be permitted to make statements which create hate and grief. In its judgment ordering the prosecution of Wilders, the Court of Appeal wrote, "The court considers this so insulting for Muslims that it is in the public interest to prosecute Wilders." By attacking the symbols of the Muslim religion, he also insulted Muslim believers. In a democratic system, hate speech is considered to be so serious that it is in the general interest to draw a clear line. Wilders is charged with such crimes as having stated that Moroccan youths were violent, for calling for Dutch borders to be closed to all non-Western immigrants, and for advocating an end to what he terms the Islamic invasion. He also stands accused of 5 counts of religious insult and anti-Muslim incitement for describing Islam as a fascist religion and calling for the banning of the Quran. Wilders was even banned from entering Great Britain after Fitna was released on the grounds that admitting him into the country would threaten community harmony and therefore public security. Wilders is the leader of the Dutch Party for Freedom. By the way, just a few years ago, Wilders was the only MP representing his party. Now, the latest poll shows that come the next election, the Party for Freedom may win the most seats in Parliament of any of the political parties. Evidently, his views rang true with a large number of the Dutch.
My main message is that I have a problem with the Islamization of our societies. Let me tell you first that I have nothing against people, not individuals, not groups. I have nothing against Muslims. I know the majority of Muslims in our society are law-abiding people, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have a problem with the Islamic ideology, the Islamic culture, because I believe that the more Islam we get in our free societies, the less freedom we will get. I believe that our culture, which is based on humanism, on Christianity, on Judaism, is indeed better than the Islamic culture. I believe that people should also be proud to say that. You are not a racist if you say that you want our countries to adhere to our own culture. If you see how, what I said before, in many countries where the Islamic culture is dominant, homosexuals are beaten up or even killed. Journalists like yourself are often jailed for saying the wrong words according to the regime. Apostates are often killed. Yes, that kind of action indeed is retarded, and I think we should be proud that we have a more tolerant culture and society, and I want to defend that.
Never mind the voters, though. Before the court, Wilders has his work cut out for him. In his opening remarks to the justices, Wilders made an impassioned plea on behalf of the freedom he feels is threatened in his country. Of all our attainments, freedom is the most precious and most vulnerable. It is what people have dedicated their lives to and what people have given their lives for. I believe with all my heart and soul that the freedom is threatened in the Netherlands. That heritage is no longer a given fact, no longer a matter of self-evidence. I know that the words I use are sometimes tough, but they're never reckless. I have nothing against Muslims. I have a problem with Islam and the Islamization of our country, because Islam is at right angles to freedom. It is not only the right, but also the duty of free people to speak out against any ideology that threatens freedom. Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, was right. The price for freedom is eternal vigilance. This trial is about the freedom of expression. It is certainly also about finding the truth. The statements I have made, the comparisons I have drawn, are they true? Because if something is true, how can it be illegal? This week, Wilders said, "I am being prosecuted for my political convictions." The freedom of speech is on the verge of collapsing. If a politician is not allowed to criticize an ideology anymore, this means that we are lost, and it will lead to the end of our freedom. However, I remain combative. I am convinced that I will be acquitted. If not, Wilders faces up to 2 years in prison for criticizing Islam. One wonders whether Wilders would be facing 2 years in prison for criticizing Christianity. Well, not with America's current upside-down political correctness. Today, criticizing Christianity in America isn't hate speech. It's considered courageous exercise and free speech. But it's much easier to be courageous when you know you won't get arrested or killed for it. Just imagine if a Christian immigrated to Saudi Arabia. He would first have to convert to Islam and forsake all symbols of Christianity, such as a Bible. And if he ever reverted back to Christianity and tried to proselytize a Muslim, as a citizen of Saudi Arabia, he could be sentenced to death. A very different standard, wouldn't you say?